east side parking ramp on 5th Street?
Yeah. Black's building.
Okay, that's where the Sherman Motel was back in their day. And then they would play and the dances get over like at 3 in the morning. Well, then they'd go upstairs and lodging and that. And they'd sleep a little bit and then they'd get up and have breakfast and then take the 20 miles back to Dunkerton, get home about 11 o'clock, you know, do their chores and whatever. Okay. The Owen girls always sang at the reunions. And these are some of the songs, all patriotic songs. I thought that'd make kind of a nice little collage, patriotic. Here's an article that was in the paper about Lester, and the last thing is Mr. Cook. He was in the Civil War, but he wasn't captured. This is when the band's playing for a parade, how the procession. That's Linda Musch. This is when I got the kids to clean up the cemetery, and you helped me with that.
I did.
Okay. That's about it. Owen reunion. I'm sorry about the school. It's coming.
Okay.
This is Eli Owen in his later years. And I brought several of them because they're all a little different. This is Maria. She was a cook. Maria is spelled M-A-R-I-A. Henrietta Cook. She was born in Vermont, Burlington, Vermont. And I just found out not too long ago, 10 years ago, she left 2 sisters that she never saw again.
Really?
After coming. These are just little bios and dates and names and stuff that might be helpful to you. This is the house that Eli built in the field back in that Waldo Knief kept finding the foundation and stuff. That's a big house.
Yeah, it is. So this was north of Gresham Road. Well,
No,
you're
it's
talking
right
about,
on Gresham Road.
well, she said it was back in the field.
Oh,
No.
okay.
You know where Helmers used to live?
Not for sure. I know where Waldo Knief,
Okay.
where Rose,
Yeah.
where Rose grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their house was there. Yeah, it probably is on Gresham. I don't
Yeah.
know the name.
Yeah.
Back in the field.
In the field, okay.
And this is Frank Waite, W-A-I-T-E, which is the maiden name of Mariah's mother. All English. And then these are the little girls. And I showed my Aunt Vernice this picture, and I said, "That's Grandma." And she says, "No, it's not." I said, "It isn't. She's not as old as..." I have a better picture of her. She's one of the little girls. They had Edith, they had Luella, they had Ethel was the youngest, and Cora, and Nettie. Nettie was a teacher. On my school stuff, you'll see where she was in a lot of... But they had a lot of kids, but she lost 2 little boys. This is obituaries, cards from funerals. That is Doc Strain's house. That is the house that Eli and Maria bought when they moved off the farm.
Okay. And he was
Larry-
a veterinarian. Doc Strain
Yes.
was a vet.
But Larry Fisher, are they still living there?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. I showed a picture of that house to what's her name? Larry and,
Marilyn.
Marilyn,
Fisher.
yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that was Doc Strain's house.
This is a tribute to Maria when she died, and it was in the Courier, and it was written by Lois Huffman Crawford.
Do you want me to put these back in the folder, or do you need the folder?
Yeah, no, I was gonna, yeah, if you want that way, you can have it.
Article. And then did you get Doc Strain house? And who moved into Doc Strain's house? Tell me again.
Larry Fisher.
But before that, the relative?
Oh, Maria and Eli.
Mariah and Eli.
Yeah.
Okay.
McNellis
Oh,
owned all that land up there and everything, and I got land transfers. I didn't know if you'd be interested in that.
we have some land grants.
But if you can read the northeast of the southeast of the,
Yeah, I know.
you know. I was afraid I was gonna have to have that job, because when I worked in the auditor's office. But, okay. This is copies of I thought that came off pretty
Yeah,
good.
they did.
And then this is just on cheaper stuff.
Okay.
Here's a story about Hannah.
This goes with the tintype stuff.
Okay, Hannah and Jonathan had a son, John, and he died. And there's no mention of him being sick. You know, like when the parents died, there was several entries about his death and everything, but it was just John died. And he was buried up on a Magee land. But before they sold it, they dug up the grave and moved it to Leicester.
Did they?
And it's kind of gruesome. He said there wasn't much left of him.
So no casket?
Didn't
They
sound
didn't
like
put
it.
him in a casket?
There's some little pictures if you're doing an article and you need little pictures.
Was there some we have already?
And that's about Hannah. That's the obituary that was in the Courier.
Okay.
They made the Courier quite a bit. When we lived in Liberty, little side deal of Kansas City way, I'd go to the Mid-Continent Library and just get all kinds of stuff. Okay, I inherited this from a man in Texas, and this is the town of Leicester.
Oh,
Not very many people.
nope. I see some familiar names though. Axtell. Charles.
Are you related to any of those?
I don't think so, but who knows? Probably. We're discovering a
Okay, this
lot
is
of ties.
a census of the village of Leicester Center.
Oh, that's great. From 1880. 1880, nice.
These are all Jonathan and Hannah's grandchildren. Names are on the back. And the F.O. Canfield was the postmaster here for a few years way back when. And the Hempseed, Eugene Hempseed, is the only son that his mother was Lavina. Every time I write that, I'd call her Lavina, and then I call her, leave the A off, and okay. The sisters were very, very close. This is I don't have the names on the slip I do. This is my grandma Bertha in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see.
So this is your grandma.
No, this
this
is my
one?
grandma.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Here's another picture that they took of the kids the same day that they took the picture of the house. And my grandma is standing right there.
This one?
And she's the 7th child.
Okay.
This lady right here, that's how we're related to the Frenches.
This one?
Yeah. Her name was Adele, Annie, Dell, whatever they could come make out of Adela. And she married Edmond French. French. And this is 1935.
Are these the names here?
Let's see. Nope, it's here. Okay, the back row is Nettie, May, and Luella, Dickie, and they lived over like where, what was the Miller, or the older couple that lived just up from Waldo Knief. I can't remember what their name is.
What was Doug's parents?
Yeah,
The Miller
Carl-
Doug
family.
Miller.
Carl and
Carl Miller.
Miller.
Carl Miller. That's where they lived. They were a big family too. Yeah, that goes with that.
Okay.
Steal your paperclip. Yeah.
And there's a big picture, and then this is another. And this has got names.
Okay.
Louie Walker and Ethel, Frank, and Edith. Luella, Dickie, Grandma, and Owen. So where's Grandma Owen? She's in the front row.
So where would this house be?
That house would be Doc Strain's house.
Okay. So Fisher's.
That must have been a funeral, but I can't
Oh,
figure
yeah,
out
they are all in
whose
black.
funeral. Okay, this is all the postmasters in the township or county, and that shows who was the postmaster for Leicester.
John Cook.
And
And then it says Jonathan R. Owen.
yeah, and that was in the house across from where Dennis lives right now,
Yeah.
where Wetzlich lived.
Yeah, Louis.
I always wanted to get in that house.
Well, we were in it many times, and it was very interesting.
It was,
Well, his wife left him.
Well, we always heard that she died. Did she die or did she leave?
She left
She
him.
left him.
I think
Didn't know
that's
that.
what Laura told me.
see, that's a better.
Yeah, that's a better story that she died. But
And then
at one time
he-
there were organs in there. I mean, it must have been just a show place when she lived there.
Mm-hmm.
But it deteriorated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Darlene Salisbury Nation said that they used to see that's neighbors right there.
Yeah.
That they go in and take antiques out of the house
Really?
and stuff like that.
Well, we would go over there when Louie was alive. Grandpa would go over, let's go see Louie. And of course, little kids, we had to tag along. And Louie'd be over there sitting in his one room with the one light bulb and the pot over in the corner where he
Spit.
No, not spit, the other kind.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And mice running across the back of the stove and cans and
yeah,
stuff just
that's
piled
what
up.
was told. It was
Yeah.
a mess.
It was awful. And then he had a fire in the kitchen, and all he did was move stuff to another room. He never did anything to the kitchen.
Was it all bedrooms upstairs then?
I have been up in that. Yeah, I have seen that. I know
Well-
there was an organ at one time. He had a Civil War sword. I remember him showing us.
Oh,
And of course, my dad and his brothers would go over and they would go up in the haymow when he was milking cows at midnight, because he didn't keep a real regular schedule with his milking. And they'd be up in the haymow and scaring Louie, and he'd say, "Those raccoons upstairs."
Well, there's two, did you notice that there's two different spellings of Wetzlich?
Yeah, the two brothers spelled it differently.
Yeah, Laura's dad changed the spelling because they thought it changed the German.
Yeah, one was the German spelling and
Yeah.
the other was Americanized. Yeah.
This is just the little girl in the front is Ruth, Squirt Huffman's mother. And the only guy is Bert Whitney. They moved from the farm into real close around East High.
Okay.
And so did Miriam's folks. So Miriam went to West High to school or something like that. Oh, here's a,
Does that one have the names on it?
no. Oh, here's the one with the grandchildren of Jonathan that had that F.O. Canfield and stuff in. I did a good job. I'm proud of this one. I blew up the map about Leicester Center, and you see the Cook right across the street from, or across the road.
Yep, right here. Is it?
They're
Looks like
the-
Dorcas.
Hmm?
I can't read the first name.
Who?
Somebody Cook Jr.
Charles.
Charles, okay.
Charles Cook Jr., yeah.
So that was across the street.
Yeah, that'd be the house that you went in and looked at.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Cooks built that when they came from Vermont and stuff. But there wasn't much there one time.
So Rebecca Bucher, that's Dennis's
He had a-
place there. And that'd be where Tonos lived, that was Wheeler's. And this would be, can't think of any.
There's a good picture of, oh, I started to say about Grandpa's trunk that he brought. Oh, I haven't come to that picture yet. I shouldn't say it. Okay, here's a copy
Stuff on the back.
of the telephone.
Okay.
This is marriage license for Charles and Bertha. Here's another picture of the church that he went to, St. Magdalene Church.
That's in England.
Okay. I have an original of this and I can't find it. I don't know what I did with it. But this is my dad. And this is Elmer. And this is Grandpa and Grandma going to town all dressed up.
Okay.
I figure my dad's about 2 there.
Yeah, cute.
He came to America on the Alaska. Here's the story of the telephone office. He doesn't look very, oh. Grandpa Charles had this picture of his mom. I said some have had pictures of her in her dress and this, and it's taken through glass. I went into Walden's photo place and had this done when I first got. This picture was at my Aunt Mabel's because she says, Pa always said I looked like his mother. And I thought, I don't know about that, but anyway, she had it. and they had moved so many places and everything. And she says, none of my kids appreciate it, and she knew that I would.
So tell me the name on this one.
This one is Marianne Moles.
Marianne Moles.
And this is an award that he got about his beans. I don't know, my dad was farming with him at that time, and so was Uncle Elmer. If they had the interest in this, or if he had the interest, heard about it. I think he heard about things, and then his beans, they're standing in a bean field, and you can't, I see them as, they're like waist high. And the beans now I saw coming up are about that high.
I think my grandpa Stender was one of the first ones that planted soybeans too.
And in that article, it says he started rotating the fields. You know, not corn, you know, it's corn and hay and whatever.
Yep, ahead of his time.
That's
Because that was 1927.
That's a nice picture. But
I'll go do it.
that picture was in a little 3x5 folding deal in my folks' bedroom, but I didn't get it. Somebody else got that one. Oh, that's about my grandma dying. This is Claude Arthur Eldridge and Elmer Thomas Eldridge. And look at those black Angus. They're beautiful. And my dad never had an Angus on the farm.
That's a great picture.
And when Bob and Liz moved into Bill and Miriam's, Angus was all the sages grew Angus.
Okay, so the two people are
Claude Arthur,
Claude Eldridge and who's the other one?
Elmer. Now here's the original of the car that you can get a better picture than what I gave you.
Yeah, that'll probably scan fine.
This is Bertha Owen Eldridge and her sister Cora Owen Moles, and that's my Uncle Charlie Eldridge. His middle name is Owen, Charles Owen Eldridge. Can you scan these and send me copies of, like these two?
We can give them back to you if you prefer.
Oh.
I can go scan them right now.
Well, no. Let's
then
keep
give 'em
doing
right
this. Look at what my dad's doing to Uncle Charlie. I love that picture. And the folks are just standing there not paying any attention
No,
to him.
He's got he's choking him.
Oh.
So,
Yes.
can you put a note on the ones
Yes.
that she'd like back?
Well, just mainly like these pictures.
Okay.
That's an old, I couldn't read, is it a case or an international?
I can't read it either. We're gonna have a bunch of tractor people here tomorrow.
Maybe you want to know.
Oh, here's a family picture again, and there's the names.
Okay, so she
Let me
wanna
take a
just
picture and get it up.
this one back to.
Okay.
There's a better picture of mine.
Oh, that's cute.
This one and this one.
Look at his eyes. Doesn't he have a bad left eye?
It looks like one's a little squinty.
Yeah, I never noticed that all those years that he was around.
You know, he might have grown out of it.
Yeah, it could have been. But that's another family deal that I'm hoping that the library would have a section where they can go and do searching with these things. 'Cause that's what I did with Harold's family and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
This is a picture of all 9 kids, and I have their names.
Okay.
And like I said, he died, Charles died in 44, so. And this is a sale bill moving from the Northrop farm.
1904. So
Did
3
you
miles.
see, did you see Lee? Yeah.
3 miles north, 2 miles west, 3 miles south, and 1 mile east of Klinger. So is this your folks's?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They had 3 babies there. I'm proud of that picture.
Is that you?
Yes.
Ah.
That's a that's a Bennington #1 primary picture.
Okay.
Okay.
This is Delores Rigdon, Delores Eldridge Rigdon, when she was little. They had a little girl after Delores, and she lived just a little short time, and they had the girl cousins carry the casket. She was up at the Fairview up here with a little lamb. This is Claude Arthur and Emma Elizabeth Casbon, Casbon. That's Lee's mother's best friend. That's another anniversary picture. And I don't know, did you put any gravestones?
We haven't.
Addie Dunkerton, Christmas card. But look what it is, or not a Christmas card, but I think that's in Waterloo, the old bridge.
The YMCA on the right.
But Addie Dunkerton, I don't know which one she was. Here's another good picture of Eli.
Look it up.
Yeah.
And this is, where'd it go? Well, this is Mariah's wedding picture. Mariah Cook. Oh, here it is. I didn't know whether to write on the paper here or what.
Well, we're doing the sticky notes, so we can take them off.
This is Eli's wedding picture, and they got married at the house across at Charles Cook's house. At that time, Mariah's dad owned the farm. And his wife, the story is that she went out and milked 6 cows. Her name was Ann Waite. Went in, sat down at the table, and just dropped over dead.
Oh.
So Mariah's dad went back to Vermont, and he's buried out in Burlington, Vermont.
So Eli is an Owen or an Eldridge?
No, he's no one.
Oh.
Eli,
Oh, okay.
he's Jonathan's son.
Son.
And I just learned that when they came in 1853, it took a year to build the first log cabin for Jonathan and Jonathan and Hannah. And Barber was a carpenter, so he built that house on Michelson's place. And so they didn't have to worry about them. And then Eli just hurried up and made his own log cabin. And then he found Mariah. But anyway, all the Owens got in together to go to this wedding. And I suppose they sang and they played music and then, just had a hey-o time. They were just party animals. That's where I get that. And this is the marriage that's at the courthouse. They had some Meyerhoff sign for their wedding.
Mrs. Maud Magee mentioned Dunkerton school teacher.
Yeah. The men always look like they were wearing suit coats.
Mm-hmm.
Frank is out in the field dragging, and he's got a suit coat on.
So which house is this one?
That is Eli's house that is in the middle of the field
Okay,
in section 5.
okay.
I think that's our Addie Dunkerton.
Is she in the
There's our Addie Dunkerton.
Uh-huh.
Barlow.
Which one
That's,
did she
that's the one who.
Yeah, which one did she marry though? Which
Oh, which,
Dunkerton?
let's see if we have that.
Frank is the one that's standing back in the trees. This is Frank's wedding picture. Frank Waite Owen. Yeah, I can't cross that out, but you can't really see it. He went west to Salt Lake City. Oh, there we go. Fred.
Dunkerton?
Don't know him.
Yeah.
That's the Ross Jones connection.
Should-
Fred.
Okay, 'cause that's,
He went out west with some cousins, and she's a Mormon. And they met, and they liked each other enough to talk about marriage. And he says, well, I'll go talk to your dad. And her folks were so in with the Mormon deal with the head guy back then. And her mother cleaned for him or something. I mean, Mormon was in their blood. And he says, I'll go talk to your dad. And she says, oh, don't do that. He doesn't want me to get married. She'd been doing that before. And he says, well, I really, should talk to your dad. So they ran away and got married. He brought her back to Iowa. And they had 6 kids. And he wasn't much of a farmer. And they rented, and they moved like every year. And I think they lived where Dale Cummings they rented that place, and then they rented the Geyer place, and the Geyer place would be like across from Claire Klublain's house, or, moved around and everything. Well, the one that wrote the story about her dad that I have got typhoid fever, and she was really sick, and her mother prayed and said, if you make her well, I'll go back to Utah. And she got well. So they went back to Utah. And she said my dad was disappointed. He had lost some cattle, and we lost 2 babies and lost some cattle. And I thought,
no,
what's your priorities, But, so they went back there, and they had, 12 kids or something like that. And this lady in the picture, his wife, wrote her own story. And they moved a lot in different places, California, and then come back and everything. She did anything possible with kids in the Mormon deal. And she said, my grandpa's family was really nice people. They were religious, but they're not Mormons. So and then he disappeared after the earthquake in California. Never heard from him again. So the legend was that he probably got lost in the family. His daughters and stuff went to the church, and they pronounced him dead, but he wasn't a Mormon, so he didn't get the The real,
Didn't get the official.
no, you didn't get the official. Okay, this has names on them. That's a typical Sunday. Look how they're dressed.
Yeah.
That picture where Uncle Clarence has the gun, they look like ragamuffins, and then there they have their fancy hats on.
All the girls have hats.
I said if Aunt Bertha had to wear that hat now, I can't imagine them. But Grandma really dressed her kids up.
Yeah.
And they're at a tent meeting in the woods. And I think the woods used to be where Witz has his trailer park sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
The woods, sometimes up by Gresham and stuff. It's just any place that had a lot of, the Owens had trees, and they just made a real nice grassy area. That's where they had their 4th of July parties and everything. But the tent back there, somebody, the youngest one, Ethel, thought it was Billy Sunday. And I looked Billy Sunday up, and he was a fire and brimstone stone speaker. And he was from Marshalltown, Iowa, or something like that. I didn't know that.
So is this kind of like a revival service then? Okay.
There's a cutie.
That you?
Yes. That was the year that she died. My brother told me the story. The folks went someplace, and we were living where I grew up. And so Grandma came up from Door and picked me up, and she got back to Door, and for some reason, I remember somebody throwing up on the porch, and then she died. And that, I don't remember anything else of her. This is their wedding picture. I would
Now
like.
that also looks like an illustration, not a photo.
Like a painting.
A painting, yeah. Did you say you wanted this back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
This is what
So wait a minute, before we leave this one, I want to make sure we get the right names. So this is
Charles Eldridge and Bertha May, M-A-Y, Owen.
Owen. Okay.
And this is a copy of a birth certificate, or a death certificate from England. Thomas Eldridge died, and they didn't know, got a telegram several weeks after he died. That's the telephone. Here's some board minutes. I thought that was kind of interesting when he was a supervisor. And there's another marriage certificate of Bertha and Charles. I teased him about the school stuff I have, man, and I can't find it.
We need to ask her questions about going to Bennington Run, then we'll be good.
Okay, here's a letter from Stella Cook Bartholomew. She married a Dan Bartholomew, but it's not Dan here, it's another Dan. And it tells what she got for Christmas, a goose and a turkey and whatever.
1929.
Here's a deal for, now that's Steve Segebarth's old place. That's where this Jay Owen lived. Looks like it started out a big square house and then added on. Is that his obituary?
Wendell May of Jessup
Oh.
dies.
That's another one. That's Karma's.
Oh, Karma.
Yeah.
Clubine
be-
Stewart
Yeah,
May.
be his, Stu's uncle.
Okay.
He died really young. And this has the name on it. This is George. He's the youngest child of Jonathan and Hannah. and he married an Adams. There was a whole bunch of Adams over on the river, east of the Owen properties and stuff
On
like
the
that.
Wapsie?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a letter from Hannah saying that she was sorry, or from Caroline saying that she was sorry if she hurt anybody's feelings and stuff like that. I think that's in there. But this is a picture. I said, that looks like Bill May. Do you know Bill? Bob May?
Mm-mm.
The Mays boys' mother is Christine Stewart. So their uncle was John Stewart. And I never knew that Dave Bailey and Jim Stewart and them all knew each other. They didn't get along real good or anything, but anyway, there's another picture of the house. And that's a good picture of Hannah.
Yep, that turned out.
I wouldn't mind having that one back.
Okay. Well, since we've got the others, why don't you just keep that one?
Okay,
Because
you-
we've got the others that we can
You
scan.
think they'll scan better than this?
What do you think? Do you want that one to scan? And then we need to get it back to you.
Right, if we can do,
Well, we'll put a note on it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
make sure that you get it back.
just in case.
Oh, there's music again. There's another picture of
Yeah,
that. I don't think you need that one, do you? You have a wedding picture,
Yeah,
but
we
you can,
do.
that's Charles
It
and
does have the
Bertha.
date on the back.
Now, these are all of Eli girls' wedding pictures. That's,
Do you have
this is Luella.
that return?
Those three.
Okay.
This is Luella and George Dickey. And here's their original.
Luella and George.
Okay.
And this is Adele and Edmond French.
Okay. That's the date, but no name.
And their house, I think they bought the house that Fred French lived in, and I don't know who's in it now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Boy, that is thick. That's Cora, Owen, and John Moles. And they raised Joe Bartholomew's Francis. And this is Nettie and George. Nettie and George Walker.
They raised
Joe
Joe
Bartholomew's net.
boy. They raised Joe Bartholomew's
Oldest Florence.
Florence.
Florence. Okay, and I've forgotten the names you gave me for
And
that
this
one.
is, their last name is Walker. His name is George. And your name is Louie.
Louie.
Louie. Isn't that different?
Yeah.
But Mariah left a sister in Vermont's name was Louise. So that could be where the Louis came from. Now here's another picture like this. I have big ones and little ones. Marla French is down in Florida. And she knows a man by the name of Gary Smith, who his mother was Mabel Eldridge that went to school here. And I was going to send her the French wedding pictures, so if you'd send them back, then I'll send them to her.
Both of these?
Well, this one is the Dickie, and this one, they had lots of kids. I said, can you imagine Dickie? Yeah. Everybody calling them
So
that.
this is the French one that you'd like back?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll send it to Marla.
okay. So, that is
And then I had this original.
French.
This is Ethel and John Hirsch, Hersch.
Ethel and John.
And you spelled it?
Hirsch.
Hersch.
Okay.
And I've already mailed the original to a granddaughter. I said, I should never get away with it. That's another one. My printer was really dark. Now this is a letter that Jonathan wrote trying to get a pension. And he mentions that he took somebody's place, took money to take somebody else's place and stuff like that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. This is Frank Owen and his family. All dedicated Mormons. There's another Cotillion band. Sometimes 3 would go, sometimes 2 would go. They played, let's see, Eli played the fiddle like you
Bass
played that,
fiddle?
yeah, the bass, because it got broken one time when it was in the wagon. Okay, this is more about Jonathan. Here's a newspaper from 1886 article about Charles Cook. He was in his 40s when he died, and on his deal they list dropsy. I didn't know men got dropsy, but they said it was a horrible death because he all swelled up, and Henry went, because they lived pretty close across the street from each other, and the Cooks lost 2 girls and a baby to whenever the sickness went through. These are all, that's Greeley Humber's son working on graves. That his thing was gravestones. This is all little stories about the cemetery and stuff.
Okay.
And the day Magee, when Henry's wife died, he moved upstairs of his house, and Dave and, what was his wife's name?
Are you talking about David Porter McGee?
I think so.
And David and
Emma, yeah, Emma.
Emma
Emma.
Goodrich.
And Henry, it's his house and he has his ways, and they stayed for a little while, but then they moved. But it said something about Dave's buried up on the hill, but I thought his grave was out to Leicester.
David Porter would be buried at the fair.
He has a big monument, right?
School,
He lived to be long.
school.
One in school? All right, we're gonna start a new one here.